So the next presentation is going to be from Europe again, and it's going to be from our very own Iryna, who's going to present something about protected areas and wilderness in Ukraine. Are you there, Iryna?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Hello, everybody. So it's a pleasure to be here on this International Wilderness event. And as my colleague Jonas already mentioned, we are moving back to Europe. I was listening to this previous presentation regarding visitors, regarding extraction and use of resources from protected areas, and I agree. First of all, we are also facing similar challenges, and I agree that education and the stakeholders' involvement is very important on this stage. So I would like to present you protected areas and wilderness in Ukraine. First of all, few words about European Wilderness Society. As you already know, we are people from different European countries, with different background, with different experience, but all connected with the same aim to identify, designate, steward, and promote vast wilderness in Europe. A few words about me. I am a graduate from the Lviv National University of Ukraine, and I've already experienced manager of different projects in nature conservation, tourism, education, youth involvement, and regional development projects. At the European Wilderness Society, I am working on the educational and sustainable tourism projects in Carpathians, these are the mountains in our part of Europe, and they connect 7 European countries. Beside that, I'm also supporting my team from the European Wilderness Society, the person for European Wilderness Network partners from Ukraine. You can see my email below, so if you have later on some questions or additional requests, I'm happy to answer to them. So in Ukraine, we do many activities, and beside our main focus, which is in identification and promotion of wilderness, we do a lot of work jointly with protected area managers, but also with the stakeholders and with the young population. So few words about Ukraine. This is the country in the center of Europe. You can see it purplish map on the map, and what is important that Ukraine is the Europe, and as I mentioned, is located in the eastern part. The area is 303,000 square kilometers. Population is about 46 million people, and we are bordering with 7 countries. 4 of them are from the European Union. Ukraine has a very rich traditions, natural heritage, and cultural heritage, and this all connects and makes this country unique. But I think most of you already heard about other things which happened and which had impact on Europe and also on other countries as well, is Chorobyl disaster, which happened in the 1986, and it happened because of a nuclear power plant explosion. And as a result of this explosion, a big amount of radiation spread not only on the territory of Ukraine, but also in many other countries, and including Austria, where European Wilderness Society main office is located. But this is not all about Chernobyl. Now we see that nature processes are prevailing and nature returns back, and that nature is more powerful even than radiation. In 2016, on the territory of Chornyy nuclear plant and surroundings, the Chernobyl Radiation and Ecological Biosphere Reserve was created. And now you see that the total area is 226,000 hectares. And what is its characteristics that it located in Polisa vegetation zone. This is the marshland with shrubs, and the biodiversity and especially fauna of this area is very rich, and it's returning back. You can find brown bear, lynx, wolves, and even Przewalski horses, which are on this picture. Can be found here. Beside that, there are many projects happening in the area, and like most popular direction is open air laboratory, and there are many research work being done and international projects happening there. Let's go back to total characteristic of protected areas in Ukraine. And here, for the moment, we have 8,512 protected areas with a total area of 4.18 million hectares, and from which 4 million it's actual area, and another smaller part it's area within the Black Sea basin. If to compare the total territory of Ukraine and the territory which is protected, it makes only 7%, almost 677% of the total area. The tendency for enlargement of protected areas in Ukraine is continuing, and for example, in the last year, in 2019, we have new 116 protected areas. What are the categories of protected areas exist in Ukraine? We have natural territories and objects, but also natural monuments. Beside the natural, if to go into details of the natural territories, we have here nature reserves, which are high. This is the highest protection in Ukraine, the level of protection in these areas. Then we have biosphere reserves, national nature parks, regional landscape parks, and reserves, or the zakazniks. It's usually smaller areas, but also protected. And the second, these are natural monuments also belong to natural territories. The second one are artificially created objects, and among them are botanic gardens, dendrological parks, and monuments and park. Now back to wilderness in Ukraine, and especially partners of European Wilderness Network in this country. We only started the process of identification and promotion of these areas in Ukraine, but there are already 13 areas, still potential for enlargement. As you see on the map, we have most of the protected of Wilderness Network partners in the western part of Europe. And these are mostly Carpathians and parts of the protected areas in Ukrainian Carpathians. So these are our mountains. Our first wilderness, which was certified in Ukraine, this is the Chornyy Kray wilderness. And this is a part of semi-called Zacharovanyy National Nature Park. which is one of the territories in Ukrainian Carpathians. This is the smallest area. It only makes 1,332 hectares, and it is a member of European Wilderness Network since 2012. And this territory was awarded with a bronze category, and it includes wild forests, which are also part of the UNESCO World Heritage Beach Forest Network. This is the network of UNESCO World Heritage, which includes 12 countries, and many of its sites are located in Ukraine. Our next, so here you also see the habitat and the biodiversity of this protected area. As I already mentioned, it has old growth beech forest, peat bogs. No visitors are allowed into this wilderness, and wildlife is also very rich. So we have wild boar there, lynx, squirrel, and the beaver also return to this area. So this is the part of Zacharovanyy Kray wilderness. This is the peat bog, where a few years ago beavers returned and made natural renaturalization. And we are jointly with the park managers, we are doing educational activities about the importance of this species for the habitat. Our next wilderness from Ukraine is Chornyy Dil Wilderness. It's a part of National Nature Park Sinevir, and on the map of the park, which is red, you can see this green area, and this is Chornyy Dil Wilderness. It's a member of European Wilderness Network since 2016, and this area also includes old growth forests, which are broadleaf and conifer forests. Here you see the biodiversity of Chornyy Dil, and since the area quite remote, you can find large carnivores there, like brown bear, wolf, wildcat, lynx. And beside that, there are many large mammals there: badgers, red deer, roe deer, martens, ermines. Beside, we have there endangered species like triton, horned owl, Rosalia beetle, and several hundreds of different plant species. These are also views from Chornyy Dil Wilderness. You can see how diverse it is, and that it is really important. The second area, second wilderness of this National Nature Park Sinevir is Darvaika Wilderness. You can also see this small green area on the map. And the area of this Darvaika Wilderness makes 1,450 hectares, and it is member of European Wilderness Network since 2018. There are still a lot of field work needed to be done, but and there is an enlargement potential in this protected area for wilderness. So we are continuing cooperation with park managers and stakeholders. Here you can see Darvaika Wilderness, how the old growth forest looks like, and that you can find the steps of wild animals there, you can see. Here also views from Darvaika Wilderness. And our next wilderness is Gorgany Wilderness. This is a very important partner of European Wilderness Network, since Gorgany Wilderness is a part of Gorgany Nature Reserve. For the moment, we identified 4,800 hectares of wilderness here, but there is still enlargement potential, and we are working jointly with the park management to identify further enlargement of this area. And this area is unique with its old growth beech forests and Swiss alpine and mixed forest. This wilderness received a golden award from European Wilderness Society, and according to research done in the area. So the area is mostly open for research work and for educational activities. No tourism is allowed here, but some visitors are visiting it, and it is a very important work to communicate the importance of the territory, of importance of leaving no trace while visiting territory, and support research work in this area. Here you can see nice views of the Gorgany Wilderness, how diverse it is and really beautiful. Our next partner of European Wilderness Network in Ukraine is Hoverla Wilderness. Important to say that it is located in the Carpathian National Nature Park, and actually Hoverla is the highest peak of Ukraine. It makes 2,061 meters, and the area is really visited. So the peak of the Hoverla is very visited, but there are still areas hardly accessible, leading to the peak, which are part of this wilderness. And that's why also this area has potential for enlargement, but unless the tourism is managed in correct way, it's not possible to include the highest peak and highest part of the Hoverla Wilderness. So that is why this area received bronze award, and if managed properly, then there is still potential for enlargement. This territory also characterized with old growth mixed and conifer forests, but also we have there alpine meadows. Here on the left photo you can see still remainings of alpine meadows, which were used in the past for grazing, but recently the natural processes are prevailing there, and maybe in 20 to 30 years we will see total natural success there. This area also has large carnivores, which were mentioned before and typical for this habitat, among them brown bear, wolf, wildcat, lynx, and you can also find rare invertebrates in the deadwood here, and the high plant diversity on alpine meadows. Areas are mostly not accessible but by public and strictly protected. These are also views from old growth forests of Hoverla Wilderness and its biodiversity. Another very important member of European Wilderness Network is Maramarosh Wilderness, and this is a part of Carpathian Biosphere Reserve. This is the Carpathian Biosphere Reserve is our very active partner, and we have a lot of projects jointly with them. Of course, the first one is wilderness audit and wilderness identification, but also wilderness management and education of youth regarding protected areas, their importance, and some sustainable tourism development projects are also on our desk. Carpathian Biosphere Reserve consists of several clusters, so you can see that it is not connected, some of them, but the nature is really beautiful and in some areas intact. Therefore, we have several wilderness identified in this area, and I will talk about them further on. So the first one is the Maramarosh wilderness, and it is located very close. You can see it marked with green, and it is located close to Romanian border. Therefore, also has potential for creation of transboundary protected area. So the area of Maramarosh wilderness is 3,162 hectares, and it is European Wilderness Network since 2018. It also contains a large area of old growth beech and mixed forests, and they are important part of European natural heritage. This area received silver award from European Wilderness Society. The habitat is very rich and flora and fauna. You can find brown wolf, and what is so important, this brown ecological corridor is located in this area. So here also beautiful views, wild river, dead wood, and mountains and forests of Maramarosh wilderness. Our next member of European Wilderness Network in Ukraine is Uholka-Shyrokyy wilderness. This area is used because of the largest old growth beech forest in Europe. And it is member of European Wilderness Network since 2015, and it awarded with a platinum quality standard. The area contains 3 wild rivers, which are also certified. So here on these pictures, you can see the water life in the Uholka-Shyrokyy. You can see the frog and the salamandra there, and bear, lynx, and wolf are also can be found there. So already mentioned 3 rivers of this area, which are Velika Uholka, 8 kilometers, Mala Uholka, 7 kilometers, and Shyrokyy wild river, which makes 9 kilometers. And they are certified with a platinum European Wilderness Quality Standard. Nice views from Carpathian Mountains and from particularly Uholka-Shyrokyy. Kuzy-Trybuszyany is also a part of European Wilderness Network and a part of Carpathian Biosphere Reserve. It is member of our network since 2017 and also includes World Heritage and particularly beech forests in the area. This area is important genetic reservoir of beech, and it has brown bear, wolf, lynx, black stork, and Rosalia beetle in the deadwood. So this is another argument why the deadwood is so important to be left in the area, because it gives life to other life. Here you see other views of Kuzy-Trybuszyany. Now a few words about challenges. So as I mentioned on the beginning of my presentation, Many challenges are similar, which are referred to other countries, and among them it's a low level of economical development in the area, low level of understanding of wilderness important because of economical situation, and increased volume of mass tourism, which is increasing each year and leaving the trace in the protected areas. And beside that, also negative attitude of local inhabitants towards neighboring protected areas. And illegal activities, unfortunately, also are taking place in the protected areas of Ukraine. Therefore, our work, beside identifying promotion area, so stretches to other activities, and we work very closely with protected area managers and doing a lot of educational and capacity building activities. The European Wilderness Society signed a memorandum of understanding with the profile ministry, so it's the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources of Ukraine. And as recently we find out, and the idea was supported by many local stakeholders, that there is an urgent need in the development of Ukrainian ranger training program. And since European Wilderness Society is a member of International Ranger Federation and European Ranger Federation, we are working in this direction to launch this program as soon as possible. Another important block of our activities in Ukraine is the further introduction of respect nature approach and respect nature concept. Basically, this is adapted version of leave no trace concept, which is coming from United States, but it's adapted to European context. And recently, beside our trainings and educational activities, we also produced big outdoor signs, and our partners from Senever National Nature Park and Carpathian Biosphere Reserve received these signs, and in the coming weeks they will be installed in the areas and will support our educational activities. So this is our team in the action. You can see here audit of wilderness in Zacharovanyy Kray, our first certified wilderness. This is Vlado Vanchura, who did a lot of work there, and I hope you heard his presentation an hour ago. These are also our colleagues Gudrun, and these are protected area managers. So actually, this is all from my side. I think I have 3 minutes for question and answers. And I see the first question. Why do local inhabitants have negative attitude? What issues are negative attitude focused on? So thank you for this important question. First of all, I have to mention that recently in Ukraine, there is a very low appreciation of protected areas. So the fact of increase of the area of which is protected is considered as negative, because many people think that this prevents economical development, which is the more important, unfortunately, for majority of public than the protection areas of areas, because people think that if it is protected, that it's a no-go zone and you are not allowed to go there and not use some resources, natural resources which you used before. But this is not true, and especially if we talk about national nature parks, which are the most common protected area model in Ukraine. So these areas have typically 4 different zones, and even settlements are there. So or the only wilderness or the only core zone is a no-go zone, but on other areas you can do economic activities which you should do in the sustainable way, because otherwise it's of course threatens the habitat. Beside that, it's also that traditionally people used to use these forests, if we are talking about Carpathians, as their own forests, even if they are state-owned, and mostly forests are state-owned in Kray. So therefore, education and proper behavior and even economic development closely to protected areas is very important, and we are working on those directions as well. I hope that was the correct answer to the question. Is forest logging also on the territory of internationally recognized wilderness in Ukraine? Well, if we talk about wilderness, of course, there is no logging allowed there, but in the protected areas, we have now the situation that sometimes sanitary logging are prevailing, and sometimes they are speculating on this kind of logging, and therefore we also have a lot of work done in the proper monitoring of this logging, whether they are done properly, and prevent happening of such situation in the future. So if there are no questions, I see in the chat. So actually it was the question from Vlado. So then I'm grateful for this opportunity to have this presentation and to present Ukrainian wilderness to you. If you have any further question, I am here, and enjoy the event. Thank you.